Broadcasting to you from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, Kentucky, Louisville to be specific. Hello everybody, my name is Brian Engelman, and this is the Unhappy Hour Sports Show on the TNAM network, part of the New American Media, because the old American media has failed us. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. We're at @TheUnhappyHour_, and join our private Facebook sports group called The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. Joining us today is Zak Baris. Zak and I have been covering the NBA and all things sports for many years. Zak, welcome back, good sir. How have you been?
I've been good, Brian. Just enjoying my last, I think Ohio's going to shut down again soon. So just trying to enjoy it out here for the last couple of weeks.
Well, what is the latest in Ohio with things shutting down? I'm a state south of you.
Nothing is shut down yet, but I mean, I keep hearing rumors. So I don't know yet. I mean, again, so far, there's still a lot of restaurants that aren't open yet. You look at something like the fancy indoor spots aren't open. I mean, I don't exactly feel super comfortable eating indoors in a crowded restaurant. Outdoors, I feel much better. But, it still isn't, still what do you believe and what don't you believe? Because there's so many, different stories that are differing out there, with supposed facts from the situation. You don't know what to believe and what not to believe. It's just kind of confusing, to be honest with you. And you hear new things all the time. And now all of a sudden here we are today that, antibody testing, and suddenly people can get the virus again, and it can be worse the second time, which supposedly before, I just don't know. It's very, very tough right now. And until there's a vaccine, I don't really think this is going to
end. It's interesting because this is obviously perhaps the number one issue facing the entire sports world right now. As much optimism as people had maybe even a couple of weeks ago, some of that optimism is being dimmed right now. We saw what the Big Ten just did, and we can get to the Big Ten in just a second, and we can talk about baseball.
I'll be honest with you, I just from an overall level, I just don't have a lot of optimism. It's not that I don't think basketball will start. I think baseball will start. It just wait till one team gets, 25 guys come down with COVID, all from sharing a plane, and then, it's over. That's the problem with this. So you don't know what's going to happen here.
Yeah. So I guess let's start with the NBA. The NBA is they're attempting to start their season. They're attempting to do this again and relaunch their league with a little mini play-in tournament in Orlando. I guess let's start there. Can you kind of break down what we're looking at with the Orlando bubble? We don't know if it's going to work, but what is the plan? How does this all break down for the teams?
The plan is to get everyone basically staying in 3 different hotels with practice courts, with having the meals inside, coaches, writers. Anyone associated with the bubble will be in the bubble. We'll be in one of 3 hotels. So that's how we're looking at it from here. I don't know if the media is with them. I believe they are, though. They've transformed areas to just put, tons of washing machines in areas, for cleanliness. But again, all it takes is one person not affiliated with the bubble doing the laundry, even stepping in there and infecting one person, or to a server who sneezes in the kitchen, or a chef. That's the problem here, is that you can look at it from all angles here. And eventually what's going to happen is, there's going to be mass outbreak. It's just what's going to happen is one player might have a false negative test for COVID showing that they don't have it because they're asymptomatic. Suddenly a game is played and then 12 players, between the 2 teams are infected with COVID. That's what's so worrisome about the situation. And today Russell Westbrook got diagnosed. So suddenly right there, the Houston Rockets, he's out for 2 weeks, it sounds like. I mean, it could be less, could be more. So that's the whole point here, is when you take a look at it, it could be less, it could be more. You don't know about the situation. And there's no real true answer of what you can do for this. I mean, that's the thing, is we don't have a known cure. Again, multiple people could be infected at the same time. I mean, again, let's take, for instance, the 2016 NBA Finals. Would it have been would it have been the same if, LeBron had come back from a 3-1 lead in Orlando in a bubble with no fans in place? No. It wouldn't have been nearly as big of a deal. No matter who wins this championship, you're going to look on it back with an asterisk. That's what's going to happen. You cannot take this championship seriously because going through it, you're taking out the home crowd, you're taking out the away crowd, you're taking everything for it. Even with pumped up and crowd noise, it doesn't, it's not the same. It just isn't. It doesn't matter if 40 million people are watching on TV. All it takes is for, let's just say hypothetically, it's the Lakers against the Bucks, and LeBron's up and there's a 3-0 lead, and then Anthony Davis comes down with corona, and 2 other Lakers players hit, and then LeBron blows a 3-0 lead in the NBA Finals. How is that fair? Or vice versa with Giannis and the Bucks, being up 3-0 and having the same thing happen there.
All right, yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I guess everybody's playing Russian roulette with it, though. I mean, we've tried to shut down as a society. We can't really do it. We can't just shut down for something that's 99 point something. If you're under 75 years old, the people that are getting this, they're surviving this in very large numbers. And yes, there is an unknown. There's obviously an unknown. Spin the wheel and lose a player.
The problem is, what are the long-term effects of this scenario? That's the biggest thing right now. What are the long-term effects of COVID? That's the problem. Just because, again, if you recover now, are you able to recover? Are you getting long-term lung issues when you're 45 years old, 50 years old even, if you're 30 years old and healthy now? That's the problem. It's the long-term unknown. This was, potentially a man-made virus in a lab. We don't know what we're dealing with here. That's the problem.
So, the whole world is looking for answers. We don't have them. And frankly, I don't know that I would be lining up to get a first-generation vaccine. I wouldn't buy an operating system from Microsoft as first-generation or a first-generation automobile. I mean, even if we got a cure for this...
And that's the problem.
That's not going to fix it necessarily right off the bat. I mean, I guess your gut instinct then, this is you're leaning toward, if you had to say, if I put you to it, would you say that trying to relaunch sports is a bad idea?
At the moment, I just don't think you can have sports right now. To be honest with you, I think that's the problem. Is I don't see how you can exactly, I don't see how you can exactly have sports right now. It doesn't make any sense to me.
All right. Well, then let's put that perspective up on the shelf, and we'll qualify everything we're about to talk about under that prism, under that microscope, under that asterisk, if you will. Identifying that maybe this isn't the best idea. Now, let's focus particularly on the details of how this is going to work. Do you like how the NBA has put together kind of the amount of teams that are coming back? Do you think they should have just went to the playoffs? Do you like the scenario they developed? Or do you think they could have done a little better with the relaunch?
I think they handled it well. I don't know what else they could have really done. I mean, again, you had a couple borderline playoff teams, and you have to have them situated. Don't forget, you can't just go right into the playoffs after a 4-month layoff, 5-month layoff of not playing basketball. I think you do need to have these play-in games, see how the first couple games go before you start, really having a play-in scenario where it just, okay, suddenly the playoffs start today. It's number 1 versus 8. And again, you just can't have that. There needs to be some play-in games first. You need to see, okay, did we screw up? Okay, it's a regular season. Who cares? If there's a couple moments in there where they're trying to make adjustments, that's why I think you couldn't just jump right into the playoffs.
Right. Now, let's spin into the NCAA for a second, because I've been saying, I would have loved to see these college kids in a bubble and give me a Final Four, give me an Elite Eight, a Sweet 16, a championship. I don't know, wherever you were ranked heading in, if you were one of the top 2 teams in your regional bracket. I don't know. I'm thinking of high school kids that aren't going to get a chance to play their senior year. I'm thinking of the Final Four, the March Madness people that, if you're one of the top 4, top 8 teams, I would have loved to see them just turn the switch back on and play some sort of a tournament there.
Yeah.
I mean, have you heard any rumblings about the NCAA doing anything like that, or is that it's a total lost cause?
I haven't heard anything. No, I haven't heard anything.
I'm
Kids
astonished.
aren't going back to school, so nothing's going to happen.
Man, what? There's that Chinese proverb. It's both a blessing and a curse. It says, "May you live in interesting times." Man, oh man, these are interesting times right now. Obviously, the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Sucks.
What's that?
2020 sucks.
Yeah, man, it has not been my favorite at all for 100 different reasons, many significant reasons. Now the Cavs are not going to relaunch. They're not coming back for this bubble. They were one of the worst teams. I guess I don't know how much do you have to say as far as the teams and the players and the injuries and what to expect with the NBA before we shift to the Cavs.
I honestly have no clue what to expect with the bubble because, again, you already know what's next. You already know what's going to happen. These guys are sitting there stuck in quarantine, okay? Literally staying in a complex at a hotel, okay? All it takes is one outside person to infect them, which you already know is going to happen. Whether it's an employee, coming in there of the hotel, whether it's an autograph seeker, whether it's just a girl coming up to a guy's hotel room in one of the players' rooms and she's COVID positive or something happens like that along those lines, or the bus driver has it, or someone on the bus has it on the way to the game. That's my point. Imagine, again, taking LeBron's Lakers, let's take for example, just as an example, that one person has it on the team that's asymptomatic, they get tested, and they've already infected the whole team. Going into the finals, and the reason I keep saying the Lakers is if healthy, the Lakers are going to win the finals if they're healthy. It's just plain and simple. If you would have put this back in the regular season, it would have been between the Lakers and the Clippers, and the Lakers probably would have beaten the Clippers. Just being honest. They were the best team in basketball. I don't really think it was close.
And just to remind people, now that Rajon Rondo's injured, he broke his hand or something, who do we have on the Lakers? We obviously have their big two. It's different from the big three that we're used to seeing.
You still have Danny Green. You still have a lot of talent on that team.
Danny Green, yeah.
You still have Kuzma. They're still a very good team.
Yeah. And they got J.R. Smith, too. How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, good time to be sitting around doing nothing. Yeah, I mean, everybody's kind of predicting, all right, it's going to be Lakers-Bucks. Of course, no, you have no idea. That's why you play the games. That's
the
beauty of it.
Celtics could very well come out of the East, too. There are multiple teams that could come out of the Eastern Conference. It's highly likely it's Milwaukee, but it could be Philadelphia as well. It could be Boston. I think the East is much more up for grabs than the West. I think the West, there are two prolific teams in the West, and that's the Lakers and the Clippers, both when at full, at full roster capacity. Those two teams are the best teams in the league. We witnessed it this season. And it wasn't particularly close. Dallas is a good team. They're a young team. Dallas isn't there yet. There's really nobody else I would even consider. Oklahoma City's decent. The Rockets are decent. There's no great team other than the Lakers and the Clippers. And again, don't forget the Lakers are good. The Lakers are not what could have taken down Golden State over the last few years. Maybe last year's team because they were so beat up. But the three previous years, this Lakers team wouldn't have taken them down.
Yeah, it's a fair point. But, you talk about the basketball gods and maybe putting an asterisk next to this championship in case weird and unexpected things happen. I mean, I don't know that you could get more weird and unexpected than Kyrie and Kevin Love both getting injured right there, on that finals run where everything was lining up for this massive... I don't know. That's part of the game. I mean, you lose players to injury all the time, and it drastically shifts stuff. You mentioned the 76ers. I mean, that was one bounce away, 1 millimeter of a difference on Kawhi's last shot away from possibly having the Sixers in the finals last year. That could have been a drastically different story. You're right to point out that there are quite a few teams in the East.
And the Raptors are a great team, too. You can see the Raptors go back this year, but... Again, that's the thing is I think the East is completely up for grabs. It depends who plays, who stays. Again, we're going to wind up looking at this, and it's going to be really the team who stays the healthiest is going to probably win it all.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
I can tell you the Lakers aren't winning without LeBron. They're not going to win without Anthony Davis. Those two, as long as they stay healthy, can pretty much control the whole tempo there. You look in LA, I think the Clippers can win without Paul George. I fully believe that, and I believe that with the Pacers improved without Paul George. I don't think the Thunder are any worse without Paul George. To be honest with you, I think Paul George is one of those guys who's a great player, but teams don't seem to miss him when he goes down.
What reason would you say that is? That's very interesting, and it's good that you pointed out.
It's almost like, he's obviously a better player than Rudy Gay ever was. But if you look at it, Rudy Gay used to be a very good player, and then you'd look at him, as soon as he'd leave a team, the team would improve.
That is strange. I
feel like you notice, look at the Pacers. The Pacers were noticeably better with Oladipo and with Sabonis on their roster rather than having Paul George there. If you look at the Thunder, was the Thunder that good with Westbrook and Paul George in the lineup? No. I mean, they're just as good without Paul George and Russell Westbrook, and they're technically the same team they were with CP3. They're really not any worse.
That is very interesting.
They weren't a championship-level basketball squad with those two last year. So, I mean, I'm just saying it. Paul George is a very good player, but I think the Clippers can win without Paul George.
I wonder how much of that...
I do believe they can win without Paul George.
I wonder how much that comes down to coaching. That whole next man up and a deep roster. If you're coached right and you got the skill set, a lot of people could succeed in that system. You think of Tom Brady, maybe, over in the Patriots.
You look at how valuable Kawhi Leonard was at the Spurs, though. I mean, They clearly dipped off without him. They were barely. I mean, they weren't a very good team last season. Without Kawhi, and they were noticeably better with him than they were without him. You look at the Raptors, though. The Raptors are. I mean, because Siakam's been unbelievable, but I mean, the Raptors won a championship with Kawhi Leonard. Without Kawhi, would they won a championship last season? Absolutely not.
No. Now, if
Kawhi gets. I mean, I do believe that the 2018 Cavs could have beaten last year's Warriors. I fully believe that one, too. I firmly believe that because the Lakers were just so beat up. They had nothing going. I mean, not the Lakers. The Warriors last year, they had no Durant. Klay Thompson tore his ACL. Curry wasn't the same. After that, neither was Draymond. So, and the Raptors still struggled to win that title. They did. They won it in 6, but it still wasn't that easy for them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Whereas the 16 or 17 Cavs would have beaten last year's Warriors in 4 games.
Total sweep. Absolutely.
That would have been a total sweep. It's like, I mean, you look at 2015 when the Cavaliers were just so beat up without Irving and Love and still, took that series to 6 games and, who knows what would have happened in Game 1 if Kyrie wouldn't have blown out his knee. Would the Cavaliers have won that and been up 3-1? But the Cavaliers were gassed. The Cavaliers were gassed towards the end. They had no chance at winning because it was the LeBron show. They had no help. It was Sean Marion, J.R. Smith, Shumpert, and Dellavedova was the starting point guard. Like, they had no help. That's my point, is you walk into these series, and again, if you don't have help from your teammates, you're not going to win. LeBron can only do so much. He was putting in unbelievable numbers. There's just nothing he could do at this point. The Warriors were able to double-team him the entire series, and he was still unbelievable, but it was at the point where just defensively we didn't have without Love and Irving, we didn't have it. I mean, the Cavaliers were just playing with such a depleted roster in 15. Their whole team was beat up and injured.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of 2016 with the Cleveland Indians, with all the pitching,
I mean, you look at the Indians, how did the Indians get even as far as they did in 16? Because they were making these quick outings, they were getting great spot starts from guys like Adam Plutko, and, was it Plutko? I think it was. And, in 16, and guys like Josh Tomlin, they were coming in from 4 innings, and they were able to turn it over to an unbelievable bullpen. And guys like Andrew Miller were able to come in there, and the Indians were able to get 5 scoreless innings out of their bullpen every night.
Yeah, Andrew Miller was that workhorse.
It finally took its toll.
Exactly. They rode that car as far as they could before the engine gave out.
And like you said, it's very, very similar to the 15-16 Cavs, that with Irving was hurt throughout the playoffs, Love got hurt right at the beginning of the playoffs against Boston, and there was a team that was just riding on its own momentum, by hitting 3 after 3 in the 15 season. I mean, it was unbelievable. In the 14-15 Cavs, not 15-16. But the 14-15 Cavs, going and beating Atlanta in the conference final, the team that had won 60 games and was the number 1 seed, and sweeping them. They just put on a show. It was very, very impressive. Yeah,
it was a force of nature until, those wild cards of injury kicked in, and it happened twice, unfortunately, for us.
Kyrie was hurt. Kyrie barely played in that Hawks series. He barely played. And the Celtics series is obviously when Love went down. And you look at the 16 Indians and you say the same thing, like, wow, if this team was healthy, there would have been no question they would have been the World Series champs. We had a pretty easy run. We dominated the Blue Jays, and they swept the cover off the Red Sox. You put a healthy team out there who knows what kind of damage they would have done. Maybe they would have beaten the Cubs in 4. We don't know.
And we never will. I still have to finish. I'm probably going to write an entire book on my theory that we're in a parallel dimension now where the Indians won their World Series in 16, but the Cavs didn't. I still have this hunch LeBron did some sort of Illuminati deal and we've entered a wormhole or something. I'll get into that later. I've talked about it before. But things are just so weird right now. I keep going back to the theory, and I'm going to have to elaborate on it. But, yeah, the what-if game is always interesting to play. What if there wasn't an injury to a key player? What if there wasn't a pandemic? I mean, this is, I'm not going to say it's unprecedented, but it's pretty close to unprecedented. This is pretty uncharted territory that everybody's trying to figure out now. And so I guess...
Brian, we've never had a moment like this in sports history. I mean, don't forget, sports basically, for the most part, paused during World War II. You know, that was the last stop, and it didn't even stop. There was not stoppage of play. Most of the athletes went overseas, but people were still playing. That was the thing. There were still games and sports being played. You still had the women's league playing, baseball, a league of their own. You know, that's the whole point. There were still sports being played. There were still collegiate sports being played at that point. We literally are in a world right now which is so unprecedented. We haven't seen this in over 120 years. You know, we haven't seen anything like this. This is literally, we're living in the most modern of eras with the best medicines possible, and we have a virus out there that no one knows how to cure or even prevent from happening. You know, and again, the whole thing is wear your face mask, wear your face mask. So all it does is take a couple people to not adhere to laws, and then all of a sudden everybody's infected again. You put people on public transportation on the subway, people are going to get infected. Whenever you put people in close quarters, they're going to have it. It's just a matter. This thing spreads very easily. It spreads much easier than the flu. It spreads easier than the common cold. You know, we just need to take it for what it is. And again, we've never seen anything like this. We might never see anything like this again. But again, you could be looking at the Browns' first playoff hopes and saying, well, there's probably not going to be an NFL season this year. Let's put it this way. They've already canceled the preseason. The Browns already are very pessimistic, and other teams, the Ravens are capping out their capacity at 14,000 people. The Browns have already offered full refunds on 2020 season tickets.
It's such a massive...
offering to roll it over or give you your money back for the 2020 season with the option, and no matter what, you retain your 2021 season ticket rights. That's what's so unbelievable about this. We're at the point now where we're looking at an NFL season where there will not be fans in the stands, and if there is one, it's either going to be a shortened season or this thing's going to start 4 to 8 weeks late. I'm not convinced we're going to see football this season. I'm just not. The Big Ten's already canceled out-of-conference play. We're looking at in-conference schedule only. Before you know it, they're going to cancel the season. I am so pessimistic about football happening right now just because they're not meeting any of their deadlines. The July 28th training camp is going to be pushed back to August 14th, and then it's going to be pushed back to August 28th. Then we're going to look at a 4-week delay to start the season with another 4-week delay because they just don't know what to do. There's no way, and I guarantee you I don't see a way baseball finishes the season.
Now, let's juxtapose that with the fact that the death rates are going down.
It's not a matter of the death rates going down, though. They're saying, though, with players getting infected with COVID-19 because it's so contagious, that's not what they're worried about. They're not worried about the death rate. They're saying, okay, if you have COVID-19 and you infect 30 other people on the team who go and infect their family members at home, that's what they're saying. Unless you keep all these NFL players in a bubble, the same type, like I understand what you're saying, too, because you can have and be completely asymptomatic, you know, not show any signs, you know. Should you have to sit out for that? Not necessarily. What they're doing is worrying about all the other people. That's why you have to bubble it off if you want to have sports. It's that simple.
Well, I think the families of any professional sports player at this point, in the middle of a pandemic, the owners, the advertisers, how about America that literally seems to feel, it feels like there's nothing holding this country together anymore. Statues are coming down, cities are burning. Just craziness. There's literally nothing holding this country together, and it feels like the absence of sports is painful, that it is obviously damaging the social fabric of this country.
You know, that's other things too. People are frustrated. A lot of people have lost their jobs. You know, they don't have a sense of living anymore. There's nothing to do. shootings are way up, crime is way up. That's again with people losing their jobs, but also again when you're not occupied with something on your mind and something to do. One person can only watch so much TV or read so many books, watch so many TV shows without having sports on. Sports helps cure your mind and takes your mind off of certain things. I know there's nothing better than going to a sports bar in the summer, having a beer and watching a game. I miss Indians baseball like crazy right now. I even miss Cavs basketball. I would kill anything to watch a 17-win Cavs play a game right now.
The 17-game winning. Now, it's different from the 2017 Cavs, who had a shot at the finals. It feels bizarre. But my point that I was getting to is I feel like if you're a professional athlete making, hundreds of thousands of dollars for the incoming level, hoping to get your big payday to get your score at multiple millions of dollars, 10 million, 20 million, 30 million or more. You look at what Patrick Mahomes got. I know he's an anomaly, but that's $500 million. I feel like these players have an obligation, if they value their career, to do a bubble. To just say, guys, family, I'm going to provide a ton of money for you.
If they don't want to get paid and they don't want to do it, then they don't have to do the bubble. I mean, I get why someone like Buster Posey opted out. He has 2 new premature twins that were just born. I get why he doesn't want to take the risk to do it. I understand that. And again, it's his choice if he doesn't want to do it. I don't know how the pay structure works. If these guys still get paid by opting out or they're foregoing their salary, I don't exactly know how that works on that end. But I believe they forego their salary at that point.
And why?
Baseball this season.
And shouldn't they have the right to do that? Shouldn't you have the right to do that?
They
shouldn't a young, hungry player
have
the right to come up from AAA, fill that spot, and put on a professional product?
Yeah.
Live in a bubble and make some millions, send it back.
Someone's going to take the spot. Listen, someone's going to take the spot, and one of these players who opts out, all it takes one player to take their spot and shine, and the player's no longer in that spot.
Imagine somebody takes Buster Posey's spot. So, somebody in AAA, AA gets called up. They get a chance. They get to make the league minimum. Finally, $100,000, $400,000, whatever they get to send it back to El Salvador and Nicaragua. I mean, half of Major League Baseball is Central American. I mean, it's life changing to have the opportunity to bestow upon your family the resources to defend yourself, to take care of yourself.
Yeah, which is fine. But I agree at the same point that if Buster Posey doesn't want to take the risk, I don't blame him. I don't.
And I agree. And I don't think
that life after baseball is obviously more important than baseball. He obviously probably feels like he's made enough money, cares more about his family than he does the game of baseball, and that's okay.
And for me, that's personal choice, and I'm not going to denigrate that person for making that choice.
No, and that's the thing is he might not care if there's a 1% death rate or whatever it is. Whatever the death rate is, he might not care. He doesn't want to see his long-term future affected with his 2 premature twins that they just adopted, and I don't blame him. I will never, ever fault someone for not wanting to take a risk on something to play baseball.
Yeah, and although he...
But my whole point is if LeBron decided tomorrow to retire and to say, listen, I've had enough of this, I don't want any more to do with this game, I'm going to sit back and make movies now and run Spring Hill Entertainment, and I'm done making basketball. I've won my 3 championships, I've been to 9, it's not worth any further health risk. Okay, so be it. Would I be sad to stop and watch him playing basketball? Yes, but I would understand where he's coming from and saying, like, okay, this isn't necessarily the choice that I would make, but again, you're going out on top. Okay, fine. But you have that option to do that.
Exactly, and I think the leagues need to be more stringent. I hope it's not easy to break the bubble. It's not a bubble if it's easy to break, and I just saw somebody on the Rockets did yesterday.
I've seen the Cleveland Indians players all around downtown. I'm not saying that they're not drinking. I've seen Lindor on a bike, biking over to the stadium the last couple of days. He was right in the middle of downtown. Bradley Zimmer I saw last week downtown. He was in his car. But all it takes is for one of them to get out at the gas station, pump gas, and get it. And then infect a bunch of the players on the team. That's my only point is baseball's not doing a bubble.
Maybe they
when
should.
you're traveling to a bunch of other cities, not all the games are being played in one area.
Well, I don't understand
going
that.
Through planes. You don't know who the one cleaning the plane is.
See, and I don't understand that. I feel like they should have just hit up a place, whether it's spring training, elsewhere. You're going to limit fans anyway.
They tried. And look at Arizona. It's out of control right now. Texas out of control, and so is Florida.
Yeah. All right.
Gavin Newsom just shut down all indoor activities today.
Don't you miss living in California?
I used to live in California.
Don't you miss it?
Yeah, I mean, no, not really at all.
Yeah, I kind of don't at all myself. It is wacky, and I don't know how.
Take an instance for the NBA bubble right now. Kelly Oubre just tweeted out the other day to all my NBA bros, Postmates delivers to the hotel. You just have to go out and meet the delivery person at the hotel entrance. Security will not hold the food for you or help you. Yeah, the food whack here, but we're here for a bigger purpose. Hope that helps. Is what he wrote. Okay. All it takes is for one Postmates driver to be COVID positive. In fact, that one player goes infect everyone in the bubble. That's my whole point on this situation.
But then it's not a bubble. Then it needs to be the people who, you pay the cooks. I've done this. I used to be in sales. Maybe if, because I lost 2 of my jobs in a day and a half, my full-time and my part-time. Thanks, COVID. But we used to have accounts up in San Francisco where, under certain circumstances, there were union issues and contract issues. The point was they would pay people. They had to helicopter them to the facility. And they would have to stay on site for weeks at a time until the situation, cleared itself.
Right. Look at this. Rashawn Holmes has broken the NBA's quarantine, must stay in his room for an additional 8 days. Holmes crossed the campus line to pick up a food delivery.
Then it's not an actual bubble. There needs to be security, and it needs to be on actual lockdown then. That's what I'm saying. If it's not a bubble, it's not. But if it is a bubble, there is no delivery. There is no DiGiorno. It's only the people on the inside. Yeah, you're right. It's all going to come down to, are the doors locked? Are they literally prohibited?
And that's what you see. The problem is when you have 53 guys that are going to be together for 5 months for an NFL season, you cannot keep guys in a bubble for 5 months. You can do this for a month or 2, but it's not going to be 5 months.
What if they want millions of dollars? They don't have to play. They don't have to stay in the bubble. They can go. Bring somebody up from college. I don't know. I get it. I get it. But I think you're right. Without a real bubble, maybe this isn't going to work. But I don't know. I'm hoping that the low death rates are something positive. We were very freaked out back in March and April that this was something that it's not. Yes, it's very contagious, but half of these deaths were elderly in nursing homes, over the age of 75. Most of the people have pre-existing conditions, comorbidities. These are the weakest among us. I lost my mother back right before the shutdowns. I don't know if she had it. They didn't test her for it because she had a multitude of other issues at the same time. So this is the type of person that's being taken out by this. Yes, there are healthy people. There are some people that are being taken out by this, but luckily it doesn't appear to be as lethal or as it just seems like age and comorbidities are a major factor in whether or not you're going to die from this. Yes, there's a bunch of unanswered questions, long-lasting issues with your lungs, with all of this. I get it. And maybe we're not going to see a lot of sports this year. Maybe they're going to try to open it and someone's going to break the bubble and it's all going to come ground to a halt. We're just going to have to wait and see. I don't know, but man, I can feel the absence of sports on American culture right now. And all we have to do is tear each other apart on social media over social issues. That's what's happening. The world of sports is all about wokeness right now, and we have a multitude of stories we could touch on if you feel like it. But before we do, real quick, I just want to get back to the NBA draft as we'll wrap up the NBA stuff. Cavaliers, what do you know about what's happening with the NBA draft? Who do you think the Cavs should target? Talk about Andre Drummond. They didn't have a chance to really see how he was going to mesh with the young Cavs players.
It's going to be a one-year experiment with Andre Drummond. I don't know where the Cavs are going to be drafting it, and I can't even tell you until there's a lottery. I mean, it's just playing stupid at this point and playing the what-if game, going, okay, because they could have the first pick, they could have the 5th pick. It makes a huge difference in the creation of this roster for the future. And that's my whole point in this, is saying, okay, let's give Andre Drummond another year with Kevin Love. Let's see how the Drummond experiment goes. If not, he's an expiring contract that we can trade during the season. Maybe. Do we re-sign Tristan Thompson? Is he essential to what we want to do? Are we going to look to get more guards in here, pick up an actual small forward that we don't have on the roster? We've had one small forward in the now 6 years LeBron has been gone. We've had one small forward for a half a season in Luol Deng.
Wow.
Literally one small forward on the roster in 6 seasons. That was a caliber, just even starting caliber, 6-man caliber, was Luol Deng for a half a season, not even. Think about that for a moment, how much they've neglected the position without LeBron there.
Well, we all expect LeBron's going to come back, right? He's going to play till he's 50, play with the Sun? That's what I think.
I mean, he sure seems capable of it.
Absolutely. All right, so I guess it's too early. Is there anybody you see as a can't-miss target coming out of college right now? Is there anybody you...
No, I mean, I like Edwards from Georgia, Anthony Edwards, but, I mean, again, I don't think there's any can't-miss prospects in this draft. I really don't see there being a can't-miss prospect. Mm-hmm. This isn't Zion Williamson. This isn't John Morant. There are no guys like that in this draft. You know, where we were a year ago that were so polarizing in college basketball and you had to watch them every night because they were so good. You know, and John Morant, you didn't even have the TV access to him. You know, that was the problem there. You barely could watch him on TV. Zion was on every night, and he was a show. I mean, you dropped it, you were doing to watch him just because you're like, wow, he's gonna be huge. Yeah, you know, even this season in the NBA, he was unbelievable for a rookie. He was unbelievable for anyone, not just a rookie. I mean, you know, Brian, you know what I say about NBA players as rookies. Very rarely do they ever contribute positively to a team, ever.
Right. It's always worth getting an established player versus a potential of a good player several years down the road, especially if you're in that championship window. Yeah, you've always been a fan of trading the talent away. You know, for every Andrew Wiggins that might be a superstar, you know, hey, I'll take Kevin Love because I know what we're going to get.
They would not have a championship right now. It's that simple.
And it's a lot like Jarrett Wright and Pedro Martinez. Wasn't he the cornerstone of that deal that fell apart back in the 90s with the Indians?
Yeah, and you can look long-term or you can look to your short-term appeal and say, okay, do we really want to win this championship? Or are we going to put it all on the line? And that's what it's a matter of doing. You know, the Lakers did LeBron's first year. They didn't want to put anything on the line and say, okay, yeah, we want our young talent. We want to see how we can, you know, commingle with LeBron. You know, we're here to build this long-term. You know, we're going to be good after LeBron leaves. Well, none of those guys meshed well together. They were all too young. They didn't have any of the championship DNA in them at this stage in their career. They're still too young to contribute positively. And, okay, so they went and traded him. You put Anthony Davis with LeBron, and, you know, you did what they were supposed to do a year ago by signing shooters and not a bunch of slashers trying to get to the basket to team up with LeBron, which was the stupidest thing ever. You know, Pelinka should have lost his job for that, but they corrected it, and this year they put together a hell of a team by trading for Anthony Davis. They used all their ammo. They used everything they had other than Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, they went into Hawk for it. I mean, they traded away a lot of capital.
They realized this is the Lakers. We need to win a championship now. We can't afford to wait any longer. They finally realized that this season, you already wasted 1 year of LeBron. You don't want to waste 2 years of LeBron.
Well, last year was the first time LeBron's ever really been injured for any significant amount of time. So, I mean, you just never know. That you roll the dice. There's things what did Rumsfeld say? There's known unknowns and unknown unknowns. So there's things you can prepare for and wild
It still drove me nuts though when teams don't take that leap when they have the ability to go and win a championship. Danny Ainge didn't do it in Boston. You know, for those few years after, you know, when LeBron was back with the Cavs, he had a chance to at one point. Right. You know, go and acquire a couple superstars and really put that team together to go out and get Anthony Davis. I'll wait until LeBron leaves. Okay? Well, suddenly Kyrie Irving leaves in free agency and says, screw you to the Celtics. You know? Okay, you know, there you go. Granted, are they probably better off without Irving and with Kemba in the long term? Yes. I think they are. I think Kemba's a better fit there. You know, with Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I do. I think Boston has a very good nucleus in place. However, you have to take that risk to win it all. It's that simple. You do what you can to win it all. Because the rings are forever. Long-term making Eastern Conference Finals, nobody remembers the team 25 years later that was in the Eastern Conference Finals every year and never made the finals. Who gives a shit about Reggie Miller's Pacers in the 90s? They were a great team. They made one championship, and that was it.
Yeah, close to no cigar.
Ewing's Knicks.
People
will always remember Jordan's 6 championships with the Bulls.
Yeah, I mean, you got Mark Price.
People always remember Shaq and Kobe with what they did together, too.
Yeah, you got Mark Price, Brad Daugherty, Larry Nance. They could never clear the hurdle. A very good team couldn't get it done.
People don't remember Barkley's Suns like they do LeBron's Bulls or Magic's Lakers or Larry Bird's Celtics. It's just the point where if you want to establish history. You go out there and you do what you can. You trade for that title. Yeah, you're going to suffer for a few years after that by doing it, and the Cavaliers are ultimately paying the price now, but it's worth. Would you rather not have a title and see LeBron leave after 4 years because they didn't want to trade for Kevin Love?
Nah. I'll take the title. I've lived enough years without any. I'll take one. Yeah, I'll take that to the bank. Let me ask you about this, Zach. Something else that's been going on, talking about general managers making moves and pulling the trigger to move, the power structure of the top-notch players around the NBA to create championship contenders. Can you help me unpack what went on with Woj? Because this goes back to Daryl Morey. We've talked about this before, but this is the latest evolution of it. Maybe the story's bigger right now because there aren't any games, but it's very interesting to see how the NBA's decided to, they're putting names on the back of their jersey, but only certain pre-approved messages, social justice type political stuff. It's an election year.
It's a joke. If you're going to let people put any message they want on the back of their jerseys, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's Free China, you have to let them at this point. You're only letting them allow selective messages on there. I mean, it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. It's just to please the players at this point. Other than that, it makes no sense. It doesn't. You're allowed to put one selected message on their jersey about Black Lives Matter, which is fine. But again, what if one player... what if Ennis Cantor wants to put on, free turkey on his?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Are they going to allow that?
And you've seen now LeBron James and Anthony Davis have come out and said they're not going to do anything different. And I find it astonishing.
What if a player decides to take a stand against anti-Semitism because of guys like Deshaun Jackson, Steven Jackson, former NBA player, Malik Jackson, the defensive tackle for the Eagles? What if someone wants to decide they want to take a stance on anti-Semitism? Is Adam Silver going to allow that?
So anybody named Jackson. What about Miss Jackson from the Outkast songs? Yeah. I mean, it's been
sorry to her though.
Yeah, we're all sorry to her. I'm for real. I am for real. It's very interesting. Did you like that Woj got suspended? Do you feel like?
Here's the thing. Just don't be hypocritical in your chance for standing for social justice.
Yeah.
What Daryl Morey did, Daryl Morey was right in his own way. The only reason he's being attacked for it is the NBA loses money over it. And LeBron can speak up on social justice issues all he wants, insult the president all he wants. But at the same time, you're not willing to speak up against a communist state in China because you're fearing, because you have the fear of losing money, making money off your brand and everything. You're just being a hypocrite at that point.
Yeah, it's okay to pee in your own pool, but it's okay to pee in your own pool, but you can't go clean up the neighbor's pool. I don't.
That's my point.
It's very strange right now that only certain types of speech are allowed.
These players taking a stand, I really don't. But again, when you're shutting out other players from talking about China, you're shutting out, guys like Daryl Morey, who's an Ivy League educated guy, who's probably smarter than 99% of the players in the league. Taking a stand, he's obviously educated. He's brilliant in what he does. Daryl Morey's he's a genius. The only reason the NBA was so fearful of him speaking out was because we saw what the consequences were. We saw when South Park, when Randy Marsh went up there and said F China on Comedy Central, what do you know? South Park was banned the next day in China. Those are guys like, you look at Matt Stone and Trey Parker, two guys who are always willing to fight for what they believe in. Always. They don't care of the consequences.
Yeah, we need...
you want to talk about real social justice reform and talk about really taking a stand, you shouldn't care what people think. You shouldn't care about your brand. You witness guys like, for instance, at the time when he did it, I think things have definitely changed now, but at the time when he did it, Colin Kaepernick took a stand for something he believed in at the time, and took a knee, got cut, got blackballed from the NFL. Now he's capitalizing off monetarily big time. But he didn't for a long time. He lost a ton of money. He lost out in another contract. Granted, he wasn't going to ever get a big contract because at that point, his flavor had kind of worn off. He wasn't the same player he was in the Super Bowl. He went to he was on the next year, he was on a really bad football team, and he got benched for Blaine Gabbert. He just wasn't very good.
Yeah, they benched him twice. And yeah, he was expecting a $40 million payday, and everybody's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. So then out came the pig socks, the Castro, the Che Guevara stuff, and his first interview afterward. He started doing this after the Mike Brown story, which never happened how the media purported it for the first year of the story. He started doing that. I don't know. I mean, he was a guy that was twice benched for Blaine Gabbert. And
that's my point. He took a stand for something he initially believed in, and now it got to the point where, okay, now he's become the face of an entire movement. But again, I applaud him for standing up for at the beginning what he believed in. I don't believe in what he was saying. I'm not pro-communism. I'm not anti-police at all. I'm not in any of those stances that he was, in doing that. I didn't agree with it, but again, okay. I wasn't sitting there. I was never pissed off, and you can look at old shows. I never flipped out at him for kneeling during the national anthem. I never cared, to be honest with you. You know how many bathroom breaks I've taken going in the national anthem? I don't care. It wasn't a stand that ultimately pissed me off. It wasn't. I was never angry about it.
Well, I
don't think the guy should have been. I don't think he should have been blackballed. But again, when the owner of the team who pays your salary, Brian, if I'm working at a job and I go into work and they ask me to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in the morning, I'll do it as long as I'm getting paid and I know my paycheck's on the line. I'm going to do it. That's what happens when you work for someone else. You listen to somebody else's rules. Until you own the team or you own the company, you have to play by someone else's rules. It's that simple.
And Kaepernick, to remind everybody, he was offered a job with the Ravens until his camp sent out social media messages comparing the Ravens ownership and management group to Django Unchained, calling them slave masters. So, I mean, I've never seen Colin Kaepernick as a guy that's actually wanted to get back into the league.
It's not like he really wanted to even play at that point.
Exactly.
He had an opportunity, and then you call the guy who's willing to sign you and pay you a contract, the slave owner. Okay, my whole thing would be, okay, I just offered you a job. My next reaction would be, go you-know-what yourself.
You know what?
Exactly. To a player.
Exactly, and it reminds me of that I saw a UPS driver, one of the delivery company drivers. He was recording himself doing stuff and saying stuff and showing customers personal information. He got fired. Or, the boyfriend or girlfriend that leaves their phone open and has a damning text on it, and they caught me. There are people that want to get caught. There are people that don't want to play. And it became obvious to me. And then even, what was it, last year, there was another workout and Kaepernick turned that into a clown show. So anyway, all that stuff aside, I think there's a different kind of anger growing against the NBA and Adam Silver after even just last week expressing, quote, mutual respect for Chinese values. The Chinese values.
Respect. Just admit it like it is. You don't want to piss off the Chinese government because you're sitting out there and you don't want to lose your revenue, with not airing basketball games in China. It's that simple. The Chinese government was demanding that they fire Daryl Morey. I'm very happy the Rockets didn't. I'm very happy Adam Silver didn't. That would have been, you want to talk about being a total hypocrite, fine. Again, let's get into it. Should the Eagles have cut Deshaun Jackson for his comments last week? Probably, yeah.
Well,
is Ice Cube getting any backlash for his anti-Semitism lately? Is Nick Cannon? No, you don't even hear about it.
It's selective outrage. As long as the target is white, It's something that the media drives nonstop. But other stories are ignored. I don't know how we got to this point. I don't know how this is productive or healthy as a nation.
It's not.
But I also don't believe in cancel culture. I also think this is garbage. Trying to ruin
Brian,
Jimmy Kimmel.
Did you hear what Todd Phillips said why the reason he produced Batman and directed Batman now was because he can't create a comedy anymore because everything he does is too offensive to people.
I did hear that. That's right. That's a great point.
He said this is the guy who created Road Trip. This is the guy who did some of the Hangover, some of the funniest movies of all time, of our generation.
Yeah.
They can't even create a comedy anymore because he's too worried about offending people.
I mean, trying to go back and cancel Kevin Hart from something 9 years ago, and it's,
But people say things and people do things, To fault a 14-year-old for making some asinine comment on Twitter is a high school freshman, and, because they say something stupid, because they say something because they're totally uninformed, ignorant, uneducated about the subject, to go and cancel them after is absolutely ridiculous.
To be fair, though, Deshaun Jackson's
stupid things on social media all the time when they're teenagers.
Oh, yeah.
It's, this isn't the story where the other day the British guy in Sonoma, or Napa, wherever, starts ripping on an Asian family for no reason. What the funniest part is that guy wasn't even a freaking American in the first place. He was British. That's what I was even saying. Like, the Asian family's more American than he is. They were American. This asshole wasn't, though. He wasn't even American. He's a British tech CEO living in San Francisco. He wasn't even American. That guy probably isn't even able to vote. I don't even think he's a citizen.
But Deshaun Jackson's not a 14-year-old kid, though. He's a grown-ass man, and he's just very ignorant.
Deshaun Jackson's a grown-ass man, and that's the difference. You want to talk about it saying that the Jews control the banks, the Jews do this, the Jews do that. Well, don't forget, the owner and the general manager of the football team are Jewish. In normal circumstances, I do believe he would have been cut. But with all the sensitivity now, cutting an African-American athlete for making racist comments, it's kind of hypocritical on Deshaun Jackson's part. You wonder why other people aren't necessarily joining the movement. And Jews have long supported the African-American community. They always have.
Yeah, so I don't know that I don't love cancel culture. I think
I don't like cancel culture either. Listen, I also agree that if people can make mistakes and say things, and you can, again, Zak Baris of the Pittsburgh Steelers put it perfectly. Listen, and Julian Edelman, why don't I show you what happened to my people, and you show me the same thing, and let's have a beer over it and talk this over so I can properly educate you on the subject. I think Julian Edelman handled it perfectly. I think, one of the reasons you saw the shooting happen at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, a year or two ago, was because the shooter was so uneducated and so uninformed.
Exactly. You need more conversation, not less.
This is what causes hatred when people are so uninformed about something or misinformed. Say, like, listen, someone makes a comment. I had an African American friend the other day that posted about Louis Farrakhan. I politely reached out to him, praising Louis Farrakhan. I reached out to him. He understood my position. I explained it, apologized for the situation. It was over. I don't hate my friend anymore. I didn't hate him in the first place. I'm just saying, people make mistakes. They shouldn't be unforgivable mistakes. This isn't Bill Cosby over here. This isn't,
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Epstein. This is totally different. People are allowed to say things and make mistakes without being canceled. That's the point. The cancel culture is totally unnecessary in today's day and age, and every little thing is so sensitive. Halle Berry had to apologize for even considering of playing a role of a trans person in a movie. Considering. Didn't even take the offer. Had to apologize, which is ridiculous. You shouldn't have to apologize for anything.
Look at Drew Brees. Drew Brees was destroyed by, I don't know what percentage of the NFL players.
For saying he would stand during the national anthem.
Nothing wrong. He had to apologize. Eminem just dissed him and said, F you, Drew Brees, in his brand new song that dropped yesterday. Yeah, and then the silence is just deafening on the other side.
He's a hack at this point. Nobody cares about Eminem anymore. Nobody's cared about Eminem for 20 years.
I still think he's good and annoying. So, and that's what I'm saying. People have good traits and bad traits. I respect LeBron James, who I consider to be the greatest basketball player of all time, the GOAT, the greatest all-around game, and I can't stand his politics. I can't stand his hypocrisy, and I can't stand how he jumps head first into issues without fully understanding what he's talking about. People are complicated, but if you're not a perfect human being, statues are being torn down now. The names of things have to be changed. Columbus, Ohio is supposed to become Flavortown because Christopher Columbus, everything has to be destroyed unless it's perfect. Well, nothing's
Christopher
perfect.
Columbus doesn't know the city's named after him anyway. He's been dead for 500 years.
But that's cancel culture. And you saw it with the Washington Redskins. What's your take on the Washington Redskins deciding to change their name?
Listen, if it offends people, I'm okay with changing the name of the Washington Redskins. I really am. It's offensive. I'm okay with it. At least get rid of the logo. I mean, Redskin is worse than Indian. The Indians already got rid of the worst part. I don't believe the Indians should have to change their name. I don't think Indian is offensive, to be honest with you. I don't. I mean, you might as well have the Atlanta Braves change their name at this point. The Kansas City Chiefs change their name. I mean, let's really dive into this.
Notre Dame is under scrutiny now. Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Finally, a bunch of drunken Irish people, if you can't think of a more awesome, awful stereotype. I mean, I don't see how whitewashing our society of all of this makes us a better, more robust country.
Feel better? I mean, this is a movement led by AOC over the last 4 years, and she's ultimately been successful in it, just pissing people off and being hurt by everything. She's equating more shootings now. I don't want to get into the whole political thing, but she's equating more shootings now as to people because they're trying to steal bread.
Yeah, like it's a script from Aladdin. Sure. One step ahead of the henchman.
And that's the problem. It's whenever you have people, I don't care if you're too far left or too far right, there are people on both sides, who are wrong. That's why you need moderate politicians on both sides. Moderate left, moderate right. I'm not taking a side here saying I'm a Republican or a Democrat, because I have no problem voting a mixed ticket. I really don't. I vote for politicians that I like. I think DeWine's done a fantastic job in Ohio. I think he did a fantastic job handling the beginning of coronavirus being the first state to shut down. I think he handled it, and there was a bipartisan response from both parties that, were very happy the way he handled things. There are Democrats who don't like him. It's funny, there were more Democrats who liked DeWine than there were Republicans.
Yeah, that's almost like Kasich. Kasich, same thing. People call him a rhino, but yeah, almost the other party likes him more than the current party. And Trump, the same thing from the beginning. People in the Republican Party did not like Trump. I can't stand
Bill de Blasio. I know my sister lives in New York. All of her friends are Democrats. They hate de Blasio.
Yeah. Well, and that's why we just need more conversation, not less of it. You will find more racial bigotry and animosity starts to grow with fewer conversations. You start to surround yourself with an echo chamber of only bad people. Back to Farrakhan, I've seen a few great quotes from Farrakhan and some awful quotes from Farrakhan, because almost every person has some good moments and some not so great moments. That's kind of how humanity is. But we're playing this game. I never used to understand how you could have the Salem witch trials and stuff, and the Hester Prynne, the Scarlet Letter.
The CEO of Goya Foods the other day, who Obama praised under his administration. He's trying to do the same here. Okay, and then all of a sudden people are going to cancel a Hispanic man who wants to support a client, support a candidate of his choice. It doesn't matter whether you like him. If there's an elected official in this country, they're elected for a reason. It's that simple. Playing cancel culture and boycotting everyone because they voted for a certain individual is absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion. I don't care who you vote for. I really don't. It's none of my business who someone votes for. It really isn't. I don't care. I don't like to talk politics with my friends for that reason. I don't care whether someone voted for Trump or someone voted for Hillary. I don't care. I really don't care. Political opinions, for the most part, should be kept to themselves. I know people that have lost many friends because of political opinions.
Yeah. Yeah, and
it's
that's
not worth it to me. It's not worth jeopardizing a friendship over. To me, also, I have a very moderate way of thinking. I don't think far to the left, and I don't think far to the right. I'm very centered in my beliefs. Brian, you know that of all the years I've been on the show.
Many years.
Very centered in all my beliefs.
Yeah. You've kind of been. I think moderate's a fair term. I think that's a fair term. You've called out BS on both sides.
I think a fair approach to every situation. I look at every situation differently.
I think that's how humans are supposed to do it. I think that's how Americans are obligated to act. And instead, everything being driven through like a racial prism, it's incredibly toxic. It's a toxic batch of poison being crammed down our throats from a woke social justice media culture that's ABC, ESPN, Disney, who just hired Kaepernick to a really big deal, by the way. And it's every sports story is about something divisive right now. I get that we don't have highlights and box scores to check, but this isn't what sports is supposed to be. It's supposed to be something that unites us. Now, I agree with you that I don't think the Cleveland Indians should change their team name, but if they did, Zach, set it up on the shelf that you and I both agree that there's nothing wrong with the Cleveland Indians name, although I have one team name I'd be okay with. If it couldn't be the Cleveland Indians,
Brian,
have you heard any names you're okay with?
You and I think the same thought. Cleveland has been an industrial shipping nation, an industrial shipping area for a long time. The proud Cleveland steamships. The Cleveland Steamers.
Come on. All right, that's a good joke. But rim shot. I think the Cleveland...
No, I genuinely would love to have the Steamers as our name. I think it would be awesome.
Okay.
You realize how much merchandise you would sell having the name the Steamers?
Well, look, our football team's called the Browns. All I hear is if it's brown, flush it down.
The point. They fit hand in hand with each other.
Oh, God.
The Steamers and the Browns.
All right, look, how about my idea? I think that we should name our team in honor of what we saw in the 80s with a great movie. So we could call ourselves the Cleveland Major Leaguers. The Major Leaguers, and then to keep in tradition with the script, we'll wear a Cleveland Indians jersey with Chief Wahoo. So we'll be known as the Cleveland... Yeah, something like that. What do you think?
That's not bad. I don't like the name the Spiders, really. It doesn't do anything for Cleveland. I don't like the name the Cleveland Rocks or the Cleveland Rockers. We had a WNBA team with that name. That's all I'll think about. It's just, again, the only one I would probably go back to, which was always cool, is the Cleveland Naps after Nap Lajoie. So, that's a cool name. I wouldn't even mind the Cleveland Dobies naming a team after Larry Doby, but they're not going to do that. Larry Doby, it took them to get a statue after Jim Thome.
All right, fair.
As prolific, as awesome as Larry Doby was, and one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my entire life. The Indians put a statue. They waited so long until after he passed away to put up a statue of him, which was ridiculous in the first place.
Should we tear it down?
Yeah, we broke the color barrier in the American League. Really. We should have had a statue long before.
What if we called our team the Cleveland Sox after Louis Sock Alexis, and we brought back Chief Wahoo?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen either.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I mean,
I wouldn't even mind if they would have changed the Indians to the Tribe. I would have been okay with it too.
That's the only one I'm okay with.
Tribe anyway.
That's it. I would rather call them the Tribe.
And the Tribe isn't offensive to me in any which way.
No, it will take the hit. We will officially write it down in the press release. The Cleveland Indians have been a team that has broken barriers over the years. We're the first team. We have a rich tradition of naming our team after great players. The Cleveland Naps after Nap Lajoie. We've named our team, we've broken color barriers with Larry Doby being the first black player in the American League. Broken color barriers with Frank Robinson being the first black manager in the American League. And we named the team after Louis Sock Alexis back in the day as the Indians. We're recognizing now the term Indian is not accurate, doesn't make it evil or mean-spirited, obviously, but to update it for cultural sensitivities, we will now go by our nickname for the Indians, which is the Tribe. The Tribe has a uniting terminology. It's non-divisive. It brings people together. It's family. It's friends. And we'll even use Chief Wahoo as... Well, Chief Wahoo's probably gone, but I don't think he should be. Right. If we change the team to the Tribe...
Wahoo, listen, if it's that offensive, okay. I don't see why the name needs to be changed, though. That's my point. The Indians at this point is not offending anyone. It really isn't.
Well,
the logo is gone. It's a C now. I don't find it offensive, personally.
I find the C offensive. It's boring, it's bland, it's lame.
Yeah, it's boring.
I don't like it.
I like the cursive I. I honestly like the... I like the cursive I better.
What if we went with that? I think it's Cleveland Art. What's that one? It's a feather design. It's just a feather. The Tribe, with the feather. Maybe.
I don't know. You already know they're going to get wrong in picking the name. So.
Well, okay. We can maybe wrap it up on this then. There's a lot of people talking about what the Dolans are actually doing. Dumping payroll, removing anything that gives cultural significance to this team, and the team is gone. It's going to Charlotte or Nashville in 2023. Do you have any thoughts on this? Because with the lease being up and them not re-signing, it feels like Art Modell all over again.
I don't believe they're leaving, and apparently Rob Manfred's talking about expansion too. Again, we've witnessed in the past when the South, bringing teams to the South does not always work. We've witnessed that in sports. Look how miserably it went in Florida. Bring teams to Florida. It has not worked in any circumstance. Bring these teams to these cities that have no culture in them and nothing. These teams, people are a fan of their old teams. Look at Los Angeles, for example.
Yeah, you go from no teams to tons of teams, and nobody cares. The Rams, the Chargers. People are not excited. Although LA is a pretty transient city. There's a lot of people dropped there where their traditions and histories are from other places. Kansas City fans going out to LA. But yeah, okay, so you think they're talking about expanding. So maybe Charlotte will get a team, maybe Nashville, and the Indians aren't going to lose it. It's just our attendance has been really low. They are stripping this team of its culture, its symbology. It just feels like a perfect storm of crap, and a lot of people I know are starting to brace for losing their baseball team. You're not so sold on it being that negative yet?
No.
What would you?
Not yet. I believe it could be, but I'm really not sure. And I don't think we're going to lose the Indians. Baseball's had one team move over the past 45 years, Brian.
Montreal.
One team.
Montreal.
One team. Think about that.
So it's pretty stable. is what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, all right. We can end on that. We can end on some good news. All right, fine. Yeah, let's hope soon we're gonna be able to start talking about actual games. I know you're not necessarily optimistic about it, but look, I'm gonna try to remain optimistic, even if I don't fully believe it. I'm just gonna focus on low death numbers for people under 75. I'm gonna focus on maybe the bubble can be strengthened. We're learning in the first week there's holes in this bubble. Lord help us, man. I want the owners of these teams to make some money with their advertising contracts. I want something to watch and talk about other than SJW stuff all day. I hope the players can stay safe. A limited amount of people watching. I know it'll be weird, but I think it's also unique. I think it would also be fantastic. I think this country needs some more stuff to bring us together, and sports has done a pretty great job of doing that over the years. So I'll try to stay positive on that. Is there anything else in the world of sports that we didn't touch on that you wanted to toss a comment?
I think that's it.
I think we covered the gamut, Zach. I appreciate you for jumping on. It's been a while. I'm finally getting settled into the homestead here and starting to finally put some attention into the studio. So there will be changes and improvements made along the way. And hopefully I'll have you back soon and we'll be talking about sports and maybe even some positive stuff with Cavs draft picks and, championship rounds and feats of strength and skill and luck and gambling and all sorts of the wonderful things we miss from sports. Lord willing, man, it would just be the Cleveland Browns' luck to put it together a Super Bowl caliber team with talent and not have a season, though. I don't know. Did you have Browns tickets? Did you have season tickets or did you pass on them?
Yes, I have season tickets.
And so how does that work? You have to hold them and then risk if there's
I deferred to 2021 as of 3 days ago.
Oh, so you punted?
Yeah, I just rolled them over to next year.
Okay. Now, was there a risk if you would have held it and there's no season, you would have been out?
Yeah. No, they would have rolled it over anyway.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, man, I was so excited to go see multiple Browns games this year, being so much closer than Los Angeles now. But, yeah, health and safety, man. Thoughts and prayers to everybody. Let's hope smarter minds will prevail on this thing and we can get on the other side of it and get back to this. Back to smiling, laughing, something that unites us instead of divides us. Zach, I appreciate you, good sir. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and we look forward to talking with you again soon, pal.
All right, sounds good. I'll see you, Brent.
All right, take care. Thank you. All right, everybody, there goes Zach. That was awesome. Oh, I've missed these conversations so much. Whew, man, we unpacked a lot there. Yeah, I'm gonna do something with the background here. I don't know if I'm going green screen. Like I was saying, might do the green screen, drop this thing down, spread it out. Not sure if I'm just gonna put swag, different collectible stuff. I don't know. It's on the agenda though. So I could have this in the back. Oh, I could do one of these like pinwheel. Let's see, I could start doing it like this. Just have a full circle of these. I don't know. Let's see what we got here. Remember when Cleveland could be AFC Central Division champs? I miss those days, yo. This one, 1997 World Series. Look at that. There he is, good old Wahoo. And the final season, I was there at Municipal Stadium. I was. I have good memories of sports. I have good memories of friends and family and heartbreak and successes and accomplishments. And man, oh man, am I looking forward to getting back to this. Sports is in my blood. It's in my soul. Miss it immensely. So anyway, finally, if you've stuck around this whole time, I have these pins. This is the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. There's only 100 of these that will ever be made, and I'm probably only going to get rid of 50 of them. These are awesome metal pins, collectible, and they can be yours with a minimum $25 donation. 100% of the proceeds, which is roughly $20 per pin, will go to our graphic designer who made these pins for us. He made the designs in advance and just said, hey, put the logo on stuff, sell some merch, and pay me at that point. So we've gone through about 18 pins. I probably gave away maybe the first 10 to friends and family. So we have the opportunity to go through a few more. I think number 24 is already reserved. If you would like one, drop a comment and I will reply back and let you know how you can get one of these pins. Subscribe to all of the things. It's all in the text. It's all below. The Facebook group is where things are hopping the most. The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. Make sure you link up with us there. Whew. Man, that was awesome. I feel like a cigarette. Not really. But post-show, I feel drained. I feel clear-headed. I feel exhausted. I feel energized. I feel all these things. Man, oh man, do I miss sports. But yeah, we're going to do this too. I'll show you. I mean, we're ready to add, we're going to put new microphones, new pop screens. We're going to get this back to an actual functioning studio. And I say back, because I used to have a studio in LA, and then our software stopped working the way it was supposed to, and then our hardware stopped working the way it was supposed to. So now I have different pieces and components of hardware and software that I'm trying to figure out the best way to incorporate, if you will. But yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna find a way. We're gonna find a way to step this up a couple of notches in order to give you some top-notch quality content. I know the conversations we bring, they're good, they're informative, they're fun, they're timely, and I know that you being a fan of the Indians, Cavs, Browns, Buckeyes, Blue Jackets, or anything sports related, anything humorous, humor makes the world go round, yo. But yeah, anyway, once we pay our graphic designer for his wonderful work, then the rest of that will come back to me, because then the first several $100s of that will go to pay off what I already invested to get these, and then the rest will come to help fund our operations for gear, materials, for hosting and website development and merchandising and all sorts of stuff to give you a better product. That's the game plan. But yeah, we live on the Facebook page. Live. So it's a private group, the Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. Make sure you tell your friends and family. Invite them in. Some people have called us the anti-ESPN. Maybe that's accurate. Maybe that's a little wonky, but I think it's fair. I think it's mostly fair to say. So I had a little fruit fly down there. That's a first. All right. Signing out. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk again soon. Take care. Peace.